exclusive. In other words, everybody has a different point of view. I have 7 things that I would look at before buying a C6 Corvette. That's the type of Corvette, the engine, the brakes, the body, the condition of the tires, the torque tube bearing, and the AC control unit. One thing to think about when you're buying a C6 Corvette is what type of C6 Corvette are you looking for? Are you looking for a basic model like this car? Are you looking for a Grand Sport, which is obviously more sporty? How about a Z06? A lot more horsepower, but also a lot more money. Or a ZR1, upward of $100,000 when new. You could probably get them for a reasonable price today, but there are many different models of C6s. So make sure you know which one you're talking about when you go and purchase one. Do your research ahead of time. Look at the prices, look at the ranges that you're looking for, and then go out and get it. Now this is the basic Corvette. Here is the Grand Sport. And now the Z06. And then the ZR1. Now there are many different types of Corvettes. And what's very important is the engine. On this particular model, you have the Corvette LS3, which is about 430 horsepower. On the older models, the models before 2008, you had the LS2, which is about 400 horsepower. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for the additional horsepower, then look for the LS3. If that doesn't matter, then maybe you can save some money and get an LS2. So your choice. Do you pick the one with more horsepower, which would probably cost you more money, or the one with less horsepower? That could be a factor in what you're buying. While we're talking about the engine, one plus would be the air intake. Now many people have incorporated a cold air intake into the intake system, and that's about a $400 to $500 upgrade. There is some talk about the oil fragments on the filter, like this is a K&N filter, will go in and disturb the intake, the injectors, and clog them up. Some people have said it does that, and others say it has nothing to do with it. So you make the decision. Brakes on all cars are extremely important. The C6 Corvette has disc brakes on front and back. They're pretty beefy and stop on a dime pretty much. But you do want to look at the brakes and check the rotor, and obviously do not touch this when it's hot. But you'll be able to feel a groove right in this area here. If you can feel it, and especially right here, then the rotors may need to be turned. Now that's not expensive. However, that's an indicator of one other thing that you may have to do. Look for how much room, you have left on the pads. And in many cases, you'll be able to tell the brakes have been upgraded. If they've been upgraded to higher piston, or maybe larger caliper, then of course that's also a plus. Go ahead and look at the front brakes. And the rear brakes. Clearly, these are either brand new or just recently been turned. And a whole lot of area or padding on the disc itself. Another key factor is the body. Go ahead and look over the body. See if you see any discolors or different color of paint, large scratches or cracks. This is a common area right here for buildup, especially because water builds up around these lights. Look for different colors or overspray in areas like this right here, on the spoiler, around your lights. If you see any difference in colors or overspray, you'll be able to tell if it was an accident. Okay, look around the wheels, make sure all the protection is there and plastic covering. look down the car to make sure all the lines are correct. In many cases, you'll be able to see, if you see different size gaps around the door panels. Look for chips, rock chips, highway chips on the front end. This one actually has a few. Clearly it's very well taken care of. You'll notice this little piece right here is rising up here. That's kind of common for the C6 Corvette. However, I sure would like to have that fixed. One of the things you want to look at are the tires on the C6 Corvette. Now that's extremely important. Most people would say it's important in every car, which is true, but specifically the C6 Corvette, and let me tell you why. For one thing, there is no spare tire on the C6 Corvette, and that's because the front tires are one size and the rear tires are another size. They're also called track tires. Track tires are primarily for racing, in which the tires primarily go in one direction, so you can't rotate the tires. If you rotate the tires when you swap them from, let's say, the left backside to the right backside, then you're changing the direction of the tread, which is extremely dangerous on a track tire. So it's very important to see what kind of tread you have on your tires. Think of one tire on a C6 Corvette will run you anywhere from $400 to $600 per tire. So when you're looking at the C6 Corvette and looking at something to buy, be sure to look at the tires. Go ahead and check the tire. I like to use what we call the penny check. I simply take a penny and put it inside the tread of the tire. If the top of Lincoln head and the edge of the coin is the thickness of the tire, then the tire needs to be replaced. If it covers Lincoln's head, then you have a great tire. Go ahead and check the rest of the tire for cracks or wear, or even some balding around the edges. In addition, you could have a bad torque tube bearing. If you hear some rattling in this area right here, that sounds like it's coming from the torque tube area underneath the car. Or it sounds like something is loose and levels off as you get up to speed and increase RPMs. You may have a bad torque tube bearing. Now, a torque tube bearing can get very expensive and cost as much as $1,500 to $2,000 to replace. I will now show you an example of what a bad torque tube bearing sounds like. The AC control unit, which is right here. In some cases, the AC control unit will start flashing, which means your AC controls are going bad. That could be very expensive. Many people within the Corvette Club have voiced their concerns about the AC control unit going bad in their C6 Corvette. Think of that as a costly repair, because that can range anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. When you start the car, and you see a steady flow, in other words, it's not flashing, the numbers on it are not flashing,
get the realest of real saving,
then your control unit is most likely good. These numbers start to flash, or your indicators start to flash, means you have a bad AC control unit or a short or a problem within your AC control unit. That's an indicator that they're bad. I will now show you an example of that. Notice the AC control unit indicator is flashing. The temperature of 60 degrees on the left side and 60 degrees on the right side are flashing. That's an indicator that the AC control unit is bad. Now, this list of 7 things to think about before buying a C6 Corvette is not all inclusive. The list was gathered from local members of the Corvette Club, friends, and people I've met during car shows. I'll go ahead and list some other items that you can look at while you're thinking of purchasing a C6 Corvette. With that, thank you for watching.